Hey folks, Papa Boris here, playing some more Altered TCG. We're going around the horn again, and I think it's time for our first skip. I'm gonna skip Lyra. I mean, I played it a couple of times on camera. It's just not my thing. I don't like the dice. We're gonna skip over to Muna. This is a really strong trio here. Bravos, Muna, and Ortis, I think, are the three strongest starter decks. Not necessarily in that order. Though I really like Ysmir. It's still my favorite, and I'm hoping I can figure out how to not lose with it. Though I have to say, when I play against it, I usually win, so it might just not be good. All right, my opponent's Ortis. This is the one that has that 5-cost landmark that makes everything come in with a boost, so you got to make sure you keep your removal. And let's take a look at what we got here. So, easy mulligan. We're not going to keep this thing. And what are you? You're anchored. That could be a good turn to play because it would be a 4/4/4. So that means on turn 1, what am I doing? Playing one of these 3s. Ah, yes, the anchoring, or just a generic 3/1/3. It's a little risky, 3/2/2, to try to assume you're going to win a lane with it. But on the other hand, it does get a boost for my hero power, so it's a 4/3/3. Yeah, that should be fine. So we're going to get rid of you, and we're also going to get rid... I hate getting rid of Nurture because it's just so strong. But next turn I'm playing this. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to draw some other creatures to play. Alright, I'm glad my opponent's first because it'll give me a sense as to whether I can afford to play in the lane opposite this token or not. But my guess is that, you know, obviously since I'm only playing one card, that we're both going to move once. I just don't want to get into a situation where my opponent moves and I don't, or my opponent moves twice. Okay, so my opponent plays this, very sensible. It's what everybody would do. So that makes my turn very easy. We can play the Druid opposite the token. So I move once and my opponent doesn't move, and I get a step ahead. In exchange for my opponent, of course, now getting a free 1/1/1 every single turn in both lanes, which is, you know, a problem. But I found in my games as Ortis against Muna that one nice thing against Ortis is that you do have some counterplay in the form of your anchored cards, so you also have free stats on the board, in a manner of speaking, and that can be helpful. All right, this I don't think I'm going to keep. I don't have enough creatures. I need to keep my creatures. And I already got a way to make something anchored here, so we're just going to roll with that. Oh, hold on, that's wrong. Oh, God, its hand costs 3 or less, and this is a 4 cost. Oops. Well, anyway, this thing comes in with anchored, and hopefully we'll find something else in a turn or two that we can anchor with the Muna Druid. Okay, so it's a little risky because my opponent could very easily now stop me from moving. I could try a play where, like, I play the Muna Druid and Kitsune. The problem, of course, being that she has no forest, so she wouldn't stop either of these tokens from creating a move, and that's just always going to be a fact, so maybe I should have mulliganed her. Well, anyways, we're doing it. We're gonna, I guess, try to do it in this lane, because, you know, it's just a more limited lane. It's a forest only. You know, if my opponent is gonna move once, and I'm gonna move not at all, then... I guess it doesn't matter where I went. Okay, you're playing Joan. All right, so she's going to get 4 tokens at the beginning of the next round. And she's probably going to have, or he, I guess, is probably going to get a charge card and have, you know, the usual 4 stats across the board in both lanes for 2 mana. I could still potentially win a lane, though, with this, and I am currently a step ahead, so it's not like it's all over or anything. If you control 2 or more plants, get 2 boosts. Okay, I got 1 plant. Do I have another plant? This isn't a plant, this is spirit. I don't have another plant. Okay. This would be good on something that is anchored, which this cannot be, because it has a hand cost more than 3. So... it's awkward. This is just a nothing, obviously. It's just a 2/2 for 2, which could be pretty weak this turn, considering my opponent probably has a charge. Now, what I could do is I could just play both of my 2-drops. And I could see if I get a plant or something. I could also... I mean, this is what, like a 1, 4... 3. Hang on a second. My doorbell just rang. I don't know what that's about. Okay, sorry about that. I might need to pause again at some point. We got some people here inspecting our attic. What am I doing? I'm discarding a card for mana. Okay, I think keeping this to try to get 2 plants is difficult because my 1 plant is going away. Although I could replay it. Alright, maybe I need to replay this and play physical training on it next turn. I am going to get rid of this nurture. It just seems like I'm having a hard time getting 2 creatures on the board. I guess I could have done it this turn, but it might make more sense for me just to actually have creatures to play than to keep a buff spell that may or may not be relevant anytime soon. Now, I'm glad that my opponent's first. It kind of gives me a sense as to what's going to happen, because he can't play both Charge and Joan. So either he's going to play Joan, using up most of his mana to stack up for the future, or he's going to play something else like the Charge, and then Joan is going to sit here. I wish I had gotten a Sabotage card, though I don't actually know if Muna has any. Oh, Jesus. Okay, we got this. So it's going to be a problem. And I have not drawn yet any removal spells for that. I actually don't remember if this faction does have some or not. So we just need to beat a 2/2/2 here. And it is really crucial that I beat them both. So this, not stopping... actually, hold on. My opponent's in Desert. Oh my god. This actually is really good. So we can play this. We both draw a card. It doesn't matter that Forest is 0. I move. I don't need to play anything else. I could play this just to get it down and give it anchored for the next turn. That way I won't be wasting my mana. Yes, I'm going to do that. It's a little weird, but I think I just got to do this. So that now I can fight these crazy tokens that my opponent's going to have. If I'd waited till next turn to play it, I could have like played it, anchored it, and given it physical training or something. And now I wish I had kept Nurture. Okay, well, this turn I'm playing pretty much face up. We'll be playing the Cone Man and the Kitsune. All right, we got one of these little guys. We got the Sneezer. So now I do have this combo here. Do I play this and physical training this turn? Maybe. I'm going to get rid of the Spindle thing. They're nifty, but they're pretty irrelevant against my opponent's tokens. And I don't necessarily want to commit my hero power boost just to buffing a 1-drop that doesn't even matter against all the tokens my opponent's getting, because they're getting a free 2/2/2 in every lane now. Now I'm 3 steps ahead, but, you know, that's kind of the Ortis game plan, is get behind and then just overwhelm people with your ridiculous nonsense. Okay, so this turn, I could play this plant and this and the Kitsune. Or I could play this to try to fight for future board state, like this plus physical training, for example. Okay, we're going to try it. I think I'm doing this to try to counter my opponent's game plan as well as I can, because having this be really huge and start on the board nullifies these free tokens and of course all of these free boosts that my opponent's going to be getting in this lane. Now if my opponent has those 2-drops that add a token to their expedition, and so each of them gets +1/+1, they only cost 2 mana, I'm just going to get completely overwhelmed, but this is a way to try to keep fighting for moves when I'm close to winning. Okay, so my opponent got this, which puts a token in the other lane. That's fine. I'm actually still threatening to move here. So we're going to keep up the original game plan. I am going to play physical training on my anchored character. And I forget if Ortis just has straight up removal for something like this. If they do, then I lose, and that's fine, and I deserve to lose for not playing around that. It also means I am not being efficient with my reserve. I'm going to have to get rid of the Kitsune or the physical training. I probably don't want to give away 3 power for 2 energy. So I'm guessing I'm going to get rid of the physical training, because you obviously don't get rid of this. This becomes a 5/5/3 for 3 with no drawbacks. So that is something to keep. But yes, it is a shame that I played in the manner that causes my reserve to fill up. If I'd played this Shroom, for example, I would not have filled up my reserve, but then I also wouldn't have had as much power next turn. That stings. So my opponent actually wins this lane, unfortunately, because the only stat that matters is Desert. It's the one stat they're beating me in. And my opponent still has 2 mana left over to also beat me in this lane, potentially. They only need to get basically any sort of stat here, and it's over. Now, that is not something I was counting on. I did not think, even with all my opponent's advantages, with how little mana they had, that they would actually be able to beat me in both lanes. That definitely moves this game over into catastrophic territory. The fact that my opponent, with 3 cards, surely they have a 2-mana creature or a 1-mana creature, any will do. Because now my opponent moves twice. I don't move at all. I lose 2 of my 3 steps of advantage, and I'm not really even falling that far behind on cards either. Yeah, there we go. Interesting. Oh, yeah. I was hoping that something would happen against this weak stat, but they time me, so they stop me from moving, and they beat me and everything else, so they move. Oh, boy, this is bad. This is very bad news. So, maybe I'm actually going to get rid of the Kitsune. So my thinking now is I could play the Sneezer Shroom and put physical training on that. That's 5 mana, and with 2 plants, I then get Yongsu. Okay, this is really inefficient. 4/4/4 for 4 is not great, so I am going to just get rid of this. But I don't like my situation anymore because I didn't move last turn. Maybe I should have put the Yggdrasil here and tried to pile drive this lane. I mean, obviously, in retrospect, that would have been great because my opponent moved twice and I moved not at all. And if I had done that, I could have moved once, and 1 move would make a really big difference here. Now, I do have 7 stats here. My opponent does have this thing again, which did a very good job fighting me in this lane last time. But we'll see how it goes. So my plan is Shroom, which is anchored. Physical training brings me up to 5, and then I can play Yangtze and get the boost for a 4/4/4 for 2. Okay. So the question is, do I even want to bother playing the Shroom over here? This plus the physical training is 4 stats, 5 with my starting boost. So I can test it theoretically. Okay, we'll try it. So you might say that I'm making the exact same mistake I made last turn, where I should have just put everything in 1 lane. But we'll see how it goes. My opponent was first this round, unlike last round where I was first, so I do get to see more of what my opponent commits before I finish making all my moves. There's a good chance my opponent is saving Joan here for a big closeout, where they play, and then they fall off. Next turn, they charge all their gigantic massive tokens, and then win both lanes and move twice and win. I have to say, I think at this point my opponent is more likely to win than I am. Ah, interesting. So my opponent is actually going to get rid of this character here. Now, the good news is that this is fleeting, so I don't fall behind on cards there. And now I can just casually put physical training on my Sneezer to take this lane and have it here next turn. And I still have 2 mana left over to play this if I need to. Granted, with 1 energy, my opponent probably... I don't remember if Ortis has anything that is 1 energy and gives 3 stats. But I definitely feel better about things now than I did before. So now we are even. We each moved once. So I'm still 1 step ahead, and I'm 2 steps away from winning. So there's like both the relative number of steps and then the absolute number that you need to get to win, because the longer this game goes, the more dangerous things get for me. Okay, there's no way I'm ever going to pay 5 energy for an understated creature that is anchored, so we're going to just skip that. And so now we have 3, 6, 8. That's my game plan. I'm playing Yggdrasil, and I'm playing Nurture twice. That way I don't fall behind on cards, and I may be able to win both lanes. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm trying to win both lanes here, and win right now before my opponent can go crazy. Also, if my opponent does decide to play Joan, that's half of his mana, and hopefully if my opponent does play a 2/2 for 4, okay, a 3/3 for 4, my opponent won't have enough to fight off all the tokens from the Nurture. Oh boy, this is tense. This is really tense. This from... Oh, I can't see. I wish you could see the... Oh, you can! I wish you could see this thing that you can do by clicking in the most obvious way possible. Okay, my opponent played Joan. I believe I win. I just don't think my opponent can possibly compete with a Nurture with only 3 mana left. But maybe my opponent has some removal. What I was looking at here is this Mana Seals is only for expensive things. Characters or permanents that cost 4 or more, and this big honker and this plant cost 3 or less. So I don't remember if Ortis also has like the Off You Go spell that targets things that cost 3 or less. If they don't have that specifically, then this game is over. Oh, that might not be true. If they have that thing that puts a token in its lane. Oh, never mind. It's just not over. Oh shoot. Nope. Nurture, unfortunately, is not enough. It's 2 boosts in this lane, but my opponent generated so many stats. Oh, I forgot about Kakoba. That's what it is. I just forgot about their ability to get that many stats for 3 mana. So unfortunately, here I can tie them, but I cannot beat them. Wait, oh my god! Oh my god! I have 2 plants, right? This is a plant, that's a plant. Oh boy, almost missed it. So it's not Nurture. You play Yongsu. So my opponent surprised me getting 5 stats for 3 mana, and I get to surprise them getting 4 stats for 2 mana, which brings it home. Oh, God. I mean, okay, it's not actually that crazy, because I really just needed 3. The problem with Nurture on Yggdrasil is it gave 2. It tied on Forest and Desert, and it did not tie on Water. They would have still moved on Water. And then that would have, you know, given it a whole other turn, and then Joan would have come out, creating 2 tokens in each expedition, each of which would have been bonus. This is probably a charge card, so it was very significant that I could win this turn. Granted, I just needed 3 desert for 2 energy, which, okay, maybe for Muna is tough. Oh no, but like Kitsune, that's 3 desert for 2 energy. Like, it was definitely possible. Also, these... No, I was trying to remember, did I play Yggdrasil this turn? And yes, I did play Yggdrasil this turn, so this got the hero power boost. So anything I played was not going to get the boost. Oh boy, okay, my heart's pounding. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and or subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.